I yelled. I sprinted around the bend of a corridor that led from my quarters to the cockpit. Trim lights flickered red in warning and sirens blared almost deafeningly. It was not the main exit from the crew quarters, but an emergency passage straight to the pilot's seat. I had been rudely awoken, and now was running behind a figure in similar gear. A giant head of what looked like a pinecone of shards penetrated through the wall to the side of me, almost stopping me in my tracks. We continued past it as we heard the ship's hull stretching open behind us. Enemy Shardon pods, hijacking ships of the same technology, were piercing their heads through our hull and hijacking our defenses, using the force of our ship's shield to form an airtight seal that allowed infantry to safely breach rather than the pods be dislodged. 3 laser shots from behind us barely missed, and a tight laser beam seared across the corridor. It just missed us as we took the last of the bend through the round hollow door of the cockpit. As soon as I made it through, I hit a button to the side, turning it to a sealed glass door. I felt my right back pupil dilate as my cryptic eye powered on. My internal operating system turned on through quantum computers embedded within my modified eye. A mostly transparent celeste blue heads-up display faded into existence. My internal artificial intellect, Jappy, came to life within my subconscious. I felt my head warm up as he shuffled through the recent events of what just happened. Jappy, connect to network 307.8.112.987, I said through our internal dialogue. The network address I instructed Jappy to connect to was the comms network assigned to the ship. As I looked at Everett, I saw he was in thought, subconsciously speaking with his AI, asking her to connect him to the same network. Once connected, our AIs and ourselves would be able to communicate psychically. Their conscious voices patched in, and we had a whole conversation with no words spoken physically. How did they find us? Everett asked. That's not important. I pinged Roderick, his AI responded. We can't hold out? I asked, knowing if we were pinging Donnie, aka Roderick, we were in the worst situation. The current chance of losing the Reaper is 69.7%. With Donnie, we have a 41.2% chance, Spike. That's if he doesn't undock any drones or deploy mechs, Jappy informed me between muffled blasts in the background. Donnie doesn't choose sides. He's a space pirate. Everett met him on the lower levels of a deep space spaceport about a decade ago. Ev was not a pirate but chose to spend his creds freely and hustled for money. He dealt with pirates for connections, and now we needed one. That was precisely why I needed him. Donnie I had known for about 8 years at this point. One thing was for sure. He had a network of connections and equipment at his disposal for a price. Over the holographic bridge controls and through a wide pane of curved smart glass, we saw Donnie get pushed through a warp rip far in the distance. Our AIs were assigned access to the interface of the ship's main computer. Unsure of who was controlling it now, we saw the smart glass zoom into Donnie's starship. We saw lights on his ship flicker and his ship pick up speed as he approached us. He was in an emulsified frigate which could hold at least 3 dropships, while we were in a starfighter not much different in size. His frigate, however, had been fully refitted and was more robust in power than our own. It was loaded head to toe in cannons, railguns, and bays for drones and mechs. It was not a lightweight ship. However, its owner wasn't concerned about the fuel expense because most of it was stolen. Network 307.8.112.987, merge request incoming from... The ship's announcement was cut short as an AI approved the connection. What have you two gotten yourselves into this time? A semi-distant voice patched in, translated from his ship's comms into our head. Besides being a pirate, Donnie was also an emulsified. He wasn't a biologically modified human like us, he was biologically engineered. His consciousness was transferred into a bioengineered morph hybrid clone. He was a humanoid hyena-like rough beast. Ev and I were Crips, who had a bounty. The Crips found us, Donnie. They're after our contraband. The contraband Everett referred to was a very sought-after and illegal type of microbiotech. Once injected within a Crip site, it disables remote control protocol, allowing a Crip to engage in acts of piracy or steer clear of the cryptic government's control. The homebrewed injection canisters were sourced from an undisclosed quadrant of deep space, but sold to pirates to disperse. They were sold cheaply, but were among the most expensive items in the galaxy. Some of the galaxy's wealthiest members were pirates who benefited from this process. They would rather kill or die than disclose this precious source of income. This group benefited from pirates because most worked solo. The pirates didn't even trust each other. I personally started this mission because I sought freedom for all Crips. I wanted to believe Ev was on this mission for the same reason, but he mentioned the creds more often than not. Then we split it, Donnie offered. No way, you'll make on it more than we do, 35%, Ev negotiated. We heard loud, deep thuds coming from the blast door. Our opposition resorted to a ramming device. The door wouldn't budge for a few minutes, but it would eventually. The Crips wanted to hijack us and steal the Reaper rather than blow it to pieces. They couldn't afford the damage and contraband which they needed to study to evolve their tech.
How about 60%? Or I'll send some bots out to help them and they'll throw me some creds for the cause.
Danny, come on, bro, it's Fike. I know deals don't always go smoothly with this guy, but I'm here, Donnie. You know why I'm on this mission. I don't go to the gallows, man, I explained, referring to the lower levels of the spaceport where he and Ev met. I know you don't, Fike, he sighed. But I gotta make a living, and you reached out to me. 60%, he demanded between far more pressing thuds. Deal, Ev's AI agreed without consent. Wait, no, Ev went to intervene. Yep, here we go. Sit back and enjoy the show. Then we saw sealed doors on Donnie's ship bay slide open, revealing massive holodoors which held in the bay's atmosphere and gravity. From topside bays, sets of assault and scout drones were launched. From the mech bays, since the mechs can't easily cover space, groups of pack leeches shot forward for hijacking. These were not of the same tech, they were emulsified hijacking chips, which made it harder for them to diagnose the exact tech of our ship immediately, but I knew Donnie had his ways. Then railguns pivoted in their place and started firing towards us, hitting targets near the side of our ship that we couldn't see. Yes, Donnie, thank you. Yes, I started to exclaim as the thudding grew louder. I turned around and saw the blast door was now heavily dented inwards, ready to burst. I looked at Ev, who was now facing the door, and we nodded, approving the course of action. The Crips would get in before Donnie could save us, and we would have to fight our way out. I grabbed the rifle off the clip of my chest belt and positioned it. The bottom right of my HUD, which showed stowed gun silhouettes, lit up a gun profile, the one I was equipping. After hitting a switch on its top side, a holographic sight appeared above the rifle. But then, suddenly, blackness.